The Leaning Tower of Pisa has been falling for more than 800 years, not suddenly, not violently, but patiently. A little every year, stone by stone, gravity has been pulling it toward the earth, as if reminding humanity of something it never wanted to hear. And for centuries the world watched, waiting for the inevitable moment when the tower would finally give up. But it never did. Because this is not the story of a collapsing monument, it is the story of a mistake that refused to die. Today, the tower looks elegant, almost playful. White marble stacked in perfect symmetry, curving gently against the sky. It feels intentional, like a work of daring design. But that curve was never planned. That lean was never imagined. This tower was not born iconic. It became iconic. To understand why, you have to go back to a time when Pisa mattered. In the Middle Ages, Pisa was not a quiet Italian town, it was a maritime power, a rival to Genoa and Venice. Its ships ruled trade routes. Its wealth flowed through the Mediterranean, and with wealth came pride. In those centuries, Italian cities competed not just with armies or gold, but with architecture. Stone was power. Height was ambition. A cathedral was not just a place of worship, it was a declaration. And Pisa wanted the world to listen. At the heart of the city stood the cathedral, already massive, already radiant. Nearby, the baptistery was rising slowly, another symbol of faith and dominance. What was missing was a voice, a bell tower, a structure tall enough to be seen from miles away, a tower that would call the faithful, warn the city, and announce Pisa's greatness with every ring of its bells. So in 1173, they laid the first stone. The location seemed perfect, the ambition was clear, the confidence was absolute, but beneath the surface, something was wrong. The ground was soft, not solid rock, but layers of clay, sand, and silt, remnants of ancient riverbeds. It looked stable enough, it felt trustworthy. And in an age without modern engineering, that was enough. The tower began to rise. Floor by floor, column by column, the marble climbed upward. And then, before the third level was even complete, the impossible happened. The tower leaned, not dramatically, just enough to make people pause, enough to make a straight line look slightly dishonest, enough to plant doubt. At first they probably dismissed it, a trick of the eye, uneven scaffolding, settling stone. But the lean didn't stop, and that is the most unsettling part of this story. The tower did not wait to be finished before it began to fail. It revealed its weakness while it was still being built. Imagine the moment of realization. Workers standing back, architects staring upward. The horrifying understanding that the ground beneath their masterpiece was slowly giving way. At that moment, Pisa faced a choice. Abandon the tower and admit failure, or continue, knowing every new stone made the problem worse. Pisa chose pride. Stopping meant humiliation. Leaving a half-built tower leaning in the city's most sacred square would announce weakness to rivals and allies alike, so they continued. But now every stone was laid with fear. Construction slowed. Wars interrupted the work. Political tensions forced long pauses. Years turned into decades, decades into generations. Builders died without seeing the end of what they had started, and strangely, those pauses may have saved the tower. While construction stopped, the ground settled. The soil compressed under the weight already placed upon it. Not enough to fix the problem, but enough to delay disaster. When work resumed in 1272, no one could pretend the lean didn't exist. So they tried something bold. They built against the problem. Upper floors were constructed slightly taller on one side, attempting to counterbalance the tilt. It was architectural improvisation on a massive scale, like correcting your posture while falling. The tower became a slow negotiation with gravity. Each additional level was a risk. Each ring of marble was a declaration of stubbornness. Pisa was no longer just building a bell tower. It was defending an idea. We will not give up. Nearly 2 centuries after the first stone was laid, in 1372, the tower was finally completed. 8 floors, 7 bells. White marble glowing in the Tuscan light. It leaned, but it stood. And something unexpected happened. Instead of being mocked, the tower fascinated people. It looked impossible, unstable, as if frozen mid-fall, and yet it remained. The Leaning Tower of Pisa did not become famous because it was perfect. It became famous because it was defying expectation. Centuries passed. The tower continued to lean, imperceptibly but relentlessly. Every year, gravity worked in the same direction, pulling the weight further off balance. The more it leaned, the stronger the force became. For a long time, it was just a curiosity, a marvel, a strange beauty, until it wasn't. By the 20th century, the lean had grown dangerous. Measurements showed accelerating movement. Engineers warned that collapse was no longer a distant possibility, but a real risk. In 1990, the unthinkable happened. The tower was closed. For the first time in its history, people admitted the truth: the legend might fall. What followed was not a restoration, but a rescue mission unlike any other. Because saving the tower created a paradox. If you straighten it completely, you destroy what makes it special. If you do nothing, you lose it forever. So the goal became something almost philosophical. Save the tower without erasing its mistake. Modern engineers approached it like surgeons. Sensors monitored every millimeter of movement. Cracks were mapped, vibrations recorded. The tower's heartbeat was tracked day and night. They added counterweights, tons of lead, placed at the base to pull it back gently. They experimented with cables. Some attempts made the situation worse, reminding everyone how fragile the balance was. Eventually, they turned to the ground itself. Soil was carefully removed from beneath one side of the foundation. Not excavated, extracted. A few shovels at a time, millimeter by millimeter, letting the tower settle back slightly under its own weight. It was terrifyingly slow. One mistake could have caused catastrophe, but it worked. By 2001, the tower was declared stable. Not straight, but safer than it had been in centuries. The lean was reduced slightly, locking it into a position expected to hold for at least another 200 years. The mistake had been preserved. Today, tourists laugh beneath it. They pose for photos, pretending to hold it up with one hand. A playful ritual repeated millions of times. But behind that humor lies something deeper. This tower was not meant to be remembered. It was meant to be ordinary, functional. Just another bell tower in another ambitious city. Instead, a flaw turned it into a symbol. In a world obsessed with perfection, the Leaning Tower of Pisa stands as a contradiction. It tells us that failure does not always destroy. Sometimes it defines. Sometimes it elevates. The tower did not succeed because it was flawless. It succeeded because it endured, it leaned, it adapted, it survived. And as it hangs there, suspended between falling and standing, it seems to whisper a quiet truth across the centuries. You don't need to be perfect to become immortal. You just need to keep standing, even when everything beneath you gives way. If you are drawn to stories where human ambition collides with reality and somehow survives, stay close. Because sometimes history's greatest legends are born the moment something goes wrong.